Today is June 7th, 2009. I am Andrea Mott. It is a pleasure to conduct this interview for the Dakota Memories Oral History Project in Braddock, North Dakota. Can you please state your full name, including maiden name?
Magdalena, Jangula, Wolbaum.
When and where were you born?
5 miles west, close to Highway 83, on the west side of Highway 83. There was a curve there, and I was born there. Then my parents moved closer to Hazleton. Then we were 5 miles east of Hazleton, and I lived there until we bought the farm about south here. That farm next to our place was my home. And we lived there, and Harry was helping, my husband was helping my father-in-law. He says he knew when he first seen me that I was going to be his wife.
And how did you meet him?
Well, he was helping my dad, and he decided I would, but I didn't think so. I was in a new area, but it worked out. I am his wife, and I've been here for 61 years.
Have you ever heard an interesting story about your birth, Magdalena?
Not really.
Can you please share some of your earliest memories with us?
Getting married?
Earliest memory. What is the
my
earliest memory that you can
I
remember?
went to school at Hazleton. I went all 8 grades to Hazleton, and the winters were much harder than now. And when the winter was bad, I remember my dad would bring a big rock in and put it in the oven. And the next morning when we left for school, we drove with the horses, and I had the rock, my feet were on it to keep me warm. I had 4 brothers, so I went to school with them, and I loved school. I was very good at school. And I decided I was going to go to college. But my parents, we were far apart. My one brother was 5 years older, and my sister was 7 years younger. So when it was your turn, you did everything on the farm. I helped do anything that Dad was doing. We bindered and we shocked the grain and we threshed and I helped cook. You know, if it was my turn, you did everything.
So what other kind of chores did you do in the house? What did you help your mother with?
Oh, anything that Mother did. I mean, I was much more outside helping my dad, but yes, she cooked German meals, a lot of flour and dough, and we loved it. Mother, I think most of us Germans did that, and I like milk. We milked cows, and the cream, we used a lot of cream. Those things I remember, yes.
When you were helping your father outside, what can you explain what you did?
Helped harness the horses, put their harness on and get them out, hook them up. And when they bindered, shocking, there were fields of bundles, and it all had to be shocked. My mother sometimes found time to go out, but my dad never shocked, and there were acres and acres to shock. My dog went along out. I love my dog.
What was your dog's name?
Landy.
Your dog did the chores with you?
Absolutely. He found a skunk under the rock pile. I didn't appreciate that.
What happened?
He was determined to get that skunk out, and the skunk was determined to wet him down to leave, and he was smelling bad.
What kind of animals did your family raise? I know you mentioned milking, and so you had cows. What other kind of animals were on the farm?
Cows, and then we had calves and horses, and we had colts, and we also raised lots of poultry, chickens, ducks, geese, turkeys, and I think we lived on what we raised and took care of it. I think we were happy. We didn't know any better as long as everybody was feeling good.
So while you were growing up in the 30s, what kind of meals would your mother make during that time?
A lot of things with flour and dough, and we did a lot of, and lots of soups. And we butchered the chickens. So, and one memory I remember very well, I I was a sickly kid, and I was the first girl after the boys, boys, and it was nice. And Doc Monteith, he would make house calls, and I was kind of his pet. He'd always say, she's not going to get very old, but we're going to take care of her. And then one time Doc Monteith come, and Mother was not feeling good. And he come with a little black suitcase, and he went in that bedroom and shut the door. And pretty soon a baby cried, and I was upset. He had that in his black suitcase. No wonder it's crying. Now that was a 7-year-old kid. They don't think that way nowadays.
So who was it that was born?
Helen. I love my sister. And as she grew older, I thought she was the most beautiful thing in the world. And as she grew older and look at her now, she was not very pretty. She didn't have hair for a long time. But Helen got diabetes, and she died before she was 40.
What was the funeral like for her?
Pardon?
What was the funeral like for her?
Oh, sad, sad, sad. Very sad. And they have 3 girls and a boy, and they depend on Aunt Lena. They call me lots of times, and it's nice to hear from them. And they're all happy in where they're at. I mean, it turned out fine because, I'd say 10 years or so after, their dad found a girlfriend. And those kids were so mad at him. And I says, kids, if he wants to have fun, let him go. He was good to your mother. He doesn't have any right. He was supposed to. And he died too.
Well, what about your other siblings? What was it like growing up with them on the farm?
My brothers, well, when they were old enough, they had to go make their own way. I don't remember much of the boys. It was fun when they came home. They all had to make a living.
Did you ever play any games on the farm, or was it mostly work?
Well, not really. I liked school, reading and schoolwork. I liked that.
Can you explain what you liked about school the most, besides, with reading and everything? What did you enjoy the most?
Anything that I could. Papers, magazines, I enjoyed it. I liked that.
And how long did you go to school in Hazleton?
And I went all 8 grades, and I was ready to go to high school, but my dad needed me, so I forgot about high school. And in 1975, I got my GED.
Congratulations. Now, when you were in Hazleton, did you ever play games with the other students there? What kind of games would you play at school?
Baseball. And I was tall. I always was taller than most of the kids, and I was a good ball player. They chose me just as much as the boys. We played ball a lot, and the boys loved that. And when, like 1st and 2nd grade, when the teacher couldn't get caught up, she had usually about 20 1st graders and 20 2nd graders. That the grades moved on that way, and the teacher would ask me to help her out, and that was a big deal.
What would you help the teacher with?
Help to the words, and to be listening. I enjoyed school.
Were you a good student?
Pardon?
Were you a good student?
Well, very much so. Yes, yes.
Did you ever have homework?
Yeah, not very often. No, we didn't have time at home. Not very often.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I think I just wanted to be a mother, and I don't know, be a farmer's wife. I had hoped that if I went to school, I might get a big job with a president or something, but that all changed.
How did that change?
I ended up living here, 5 miles or 10 miles from original, and I married a wonderful husband, and we had 5 great kids.
Now I want to, because you started talking about your husband, I'd like to talk about weddings and traditions that go along with weddings, just a little bit. What was your parents' attitude towards Harry?
My dad thought he was pretty wonderful because he had helped a lot. And my mother was very upset. Don't marry him. You can do better. No, Mother, I like Harry. I love Harry. No, Mother was dead set against it. She didn't want us to get married.
Was she like that with you and your sisters?
And Dad said, she can get married to Harry, and I'll sell a cow if we have to have money to buy her, get her a gown, and it'll be a nice wedding. And my mother was unhappy. But she broke down after a couple of days, and she went along. We bought material. I made my wedding gown. Mother helped me.
How long did it take?
A while. Now that I look back, the gowns are much prettier than mine was. I thought I was beautiful.
That's what matters. When and where did you get married?
In Braddock at St. Catherine's, and it was 1948.
Can you explain the wedding ceremony?
It was a big wedding, and I mean, I thought it was big, but we had it in a little white church. And I know when Harry and I went to see the priest and said we were going to get married, he says, I didn't think you guys, are you sure you're not related? No, we're not related. But he gave us our instructions, and it was a big wedding, and it was in the morning at 10:30 at St. Catherine's. And we served dinner and supper to all the guests, and we had a dance. And
What kind of food did you serve?
well, for dinner we had chicken noodle soup and mashed potatoes and meat and vegetable and dessert. And the supper, then we didn't have the soup, but we still had the same kind of a... And the dance was very, very nice. I thought it was a nice wedding. It was a very nice day, and the Wolbaums lived kind of on the side of the creek that we do. We live in a creek area, and they were, it was almost a month, and I hadn't seen Harry, and the water was bad, the Wolbaums. Well, then the water came up, and I didn't know for sure if the Wolbaums would make it to town. Well, we made it to town, and the Wolbaums did too. And it was March 29th, but the spring had started to thaw, and the water came up, and there was no way that we could go on a honeymoon. The Wolbaums brought a lot of family and relatives to their place. The snow, it was hard to get home to the Wolbaums' house, but Harry and I went along home with the Wolbaums. I married Harry, so I was there too. It was different, but it was okay.
What kind of dances did you have at your wedding?
Polkas and waltzes and two-steps. We had a lot of good enjoyment. Before we got married, we had a priest that was real good to the young people. We played ball with all the different towns, and the boys played well. And the priest would say, they never play well without these girls. The girls do so much cheering. They help us win too. So we had a good team.
What was that like?
Pardon?
What was it like playing?
I didn't get to go anyplace, but we belonged to Fidelity at the church, and every weekend we did something. In the winter we would square dance, and we had a meeting at least once a month, maybe a couple of weeks, and give us something to do. Other than that, I didn't get to go a whole lot, but this was fun. The priest was very good to us young people. I think they do their duty by letting us kids. We enjoyed him.
And what other kind of things would you do in your youth for fun? What kind of social activities?
Oh, there was nothing going on. Harry would pick me up and we'd go to Hazleton. They had a movie place, and it was called the Roxy Theater. We'd go to a movie Sunday night.
What was your favorite?
Oh, I don't know. There were lots of good ones. 5 Minutes Over Tokyo, I think. Well, I don't know for sure. There were lots of good ones, because I never had gone to a movie, and when Harry took me, it was just a lot of fun.
And when you went on these dates, were these typical dates, going to the movies and such?
Yeah, he had 3 brothers and a sister. We all went together.
It was a group outing. Can you explain what the youth in your area would do for, during free time? Did they have barn dances or anything?
Well, the Wolbaums had a big barn, and they had a couple of barn dances. We were pleased to be able to do that. I mean, I know one time the Wolbaums were going to the 4th of July at Mandan, and I got to go along. My brother Benny was upset. She would have been too young. She shouldn't have got to go along. And you know, it just bugs me. Harry even paid her ticket. I think he was worried Harry was going to get me.
What was he afraid of?
I don't really know. As it ended up, he had a girlfriend that was younger than I was. I didn't realize at that time, but now I know she was younger.
Magdalena, we were talking a little bit about barn dances and such. Did you have any community activities in town for people?
No,
young?
I didn't get to go to school, and the only thing we did was our priest was good. We had meetings, and we played ball and entertainment at night. We'd go have square dances in the church basement, and we didn't do that much stuff.
Was your family, were they quite religious?
Yeah, yes. And at home, we made popcorn every night. That was our big thing. Have a big bowl of popcorn. We didn't have TV or radio. And then we did have a radio. And the neighbors, there would be a boxing match, and they would come. The men were all lined up at that radio trying to hear. I don't think it was Joe Louis, but they had one favorite one picked out. They enjoyed the boxing. I don't know what they heard. I don't know.
What was your favorite?
I couldn't say I had a favorite. I did whatever there was. I took whatever. You didn't complain or have favorites. You just do whatever. You went along with the life.
No.
Being my brothers were all older than I was, one of the brothers would have to stay in and help Mom, because I was too little, but I got to help then too. I know when the folks went someplace, and he was in charge of fixing dinner, and all we had was eggs, and he didn't know. So then he was going to make a special dinner, and he looked up in the cupboard, and he decided to put vanilla in the eggs to make it special. We didn't like it too well, his special, so it wasn't very good.
What did it taste like?
Eggs with vanilla. Yucky.
Did he cook again?
Oh yeah, that was his job when the folks went away. I helped him, but he was doing the big planning. And they didn't go very often, but they did.
Did your mother, was she a traditional German from Russia cook?
Yes, yes.
What was your favorite meal?
Oh, I don't know, something made with, we had something that we called Bodega, and that was a dough thing, and they put hamburger in and deep fried it. That was our favorite. And then they also they did little dough things and put hamburger in and cooked it with water. We liked that food. We didn't often have cake or candy or stuff like that. I think my mother said my dad at the flu disease that was going around, he lost his oldest son, and his wife was pregnant, and she died. And so they were living east of Linton. They came from Grandpa came from Zealand. And I said to Mother, "Did you love Dad?" "Well, I don't know," she said, "what it was. He lost his wife, and he had a baby, and he had another boy. So I married him because that's what you had to do. He needed someone to help." What we're talking now, love, they must have shared it because they were together all their life. And then we had 3 boys. They had 3 boys before I was born. We had a stepbrother that was with us, but I don't think he was treated any different than we were.
What do you remember about your parents? What was your father like?
Very strict. Everybody was strict. She didn't fool around. And I know when bindering would come, Mother sometimes came out to help shock the grain. But Dad just run the horses, and they were busy all the time. Horses had to be taken care of if they were going to do their job. We had to have a lot of hay. In the dark, before dark, we'd go in the hay mound, feed the horses, and of course then we'd do the milking, and in the morning we'd milk again. I mean, it was just a part of life. You didn't complain much. I didn't, anyhow.
And what was your mother like?
She was a very good housekeeper, very busy. I mean, it's much different than now, but it was okay.
What kind of things would she do that you remember today?
Cooking. Meals had to be planned, and it had to be thought about what you're having. We didn't have food like, well, when Harry and I got married, we didn't have anything either, but it was much better than what we had at home.
And what kind of meals would your family have? What was a typical meal like at your house?
There was a big table, and the food was sitting on the middle, and everybody had enough to eat. That was it.
And were there seating arrangements at home?
Everybody sat on the same place all the time, yeah.
What about language? Did you grow up speaking a language other than English?
My parents talked German very well, and I'm pleased that they did what they did. We also learned the English language because when I went to school, I knew the English language very well, and I also knew the German, where other people like the Wolbaums, they didn't teach their children English. They started school with German, and that was hard for the kids and the teacher.
What did the teachers treat them like? Did they treat them differently for not speaking?
I didn't ever went to the farm school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Hazelton Town School. Harry went to farm school. And I didn't know, some of the teachers possibly shouldn't have been hired, but they were, and the kids went. I'll let Harry tell he had to walk to school every day, and it was 2 miles off. And I don't know for sure if they made it very often. I'm not sure the parents knew.
Or it was different for you going to town school?
For me, it was much different, yes, because if it was bad road, we'd have the horses, and we had a thing closed up, kind of, that you hooked the horses onto, and it was a box closed up, and it could see out the front, guide the horses. And the Wolbaums walked. They didn't drive. Their parents didn't. I don't know for sure.
What did you think of town?
Well, it was a pretty nice town, I thought.
What was special about it?
Because I got to go. I liked going.
What was town like when you were growing up?
It was bigger than it is now, and it possibly was the same. There was a beer pub. I don't know what they called it, but the men went in there and drank liquor. We'd go to town Saturday night, and I would be pleased because I sat with the women, and the men were on the other side at the bar. I don't know.
It was a different time.
Very, very different.
Now, were your parents strict? Did
Oh,
they
yeah.
restrict you
Oh,
doing
yeah.
things because of religion?
I never got a licking from my mother and dad, but the boys did. I would hide behind mother.
Were they strict with religion as well?
Oh, there was no doubt about it. We all went to church and did what the church taught. Yes, we.
And what was church like growing up? Did they speak German?
No, it was English, and the priests were very strict. They had what they called catechism, and some of the kids were out of line all the time, and they'd get in trouble. But it would have just killed me if he'd have yelled at me.
When they got in trouble, what would happen?
Well, they'd get yelled at.
In church?
Well, kind of, yes.
Were there any particular seating arrangements?
No, I think the boys kind of sat to the back and the girls in front. And in church that way too. The boys sat on one side and the girls on the other side. Now, you can sit any place.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the environment. You mentioned it earlier about how cold it was during the winter up here in North Dakota. Can you explain what it was like growing up on the plains?
Well, I don't suppose it's any different than town. We were warm. We were kept warm. And you take care of the cows and horses, and it's no different than now. I mean, of course, Harry and I, we raised turkeys, 5,000 of them for 14 years. We didn't have a whole lot of anything, and all the crops were bad, and the weather was bad, and didn't look like we were going to make it. We were down and out. And we had our first 2 children already, and let's try turkeys out of the blue. And we did. And it was the turkeys that helped us get up and make it. And I still like the turkey meat, but we wanted to sell them. But doing 5,000 of them, and you know, a turkey is kind of stupid. They stand in the rain with their head up. If you don't pick them up, they're going to drown. So there's nothing stupider than a turkey in the mind of the man that tries to raise them.
What was it different than growing up? I mean, you raised, you had a lot of different animals with your family.
You just did it,
Turkeys.
and you took care of it the best you could.
Did you only have turkeys?
No.
What else did you have?
Mom would usually have 2 hens and they'd have baby turkeys, but they'd sell them. Where Harry and I, we got the little colts, and they delivered 5,000 of them, and you took care of them till fall and sold them. They came and got them.
What were the winters like?
Cold, yeah. And it was. We didn't have a very good road here.
Can you describe it?
We had to stay home a lot of the winter because we didn't have a road for quite a few years when we were married. With us, it had to be love, because I don't know what else would have worked. It was not a picnic.
What kind of transportation would you use to get around at that time?
Horses. Yeah.
No sleighs?
When Harry and I got married, we had a little black Model A with red wheels. I thought it was wonderful. And one of my grandkids last fall said, "Grandpa, where is your Model A?" And he says, "Oh, it's over there someplace, but I've taken a lot of stuff off. It doesn't look like a Model A. Can I take it up?" Yeah. So he took it up to his shop, and I think he's going to put Grandma and Grandpa in the rumble seat at our centennial that's coming up, because he is really. I know we had a ball of wires. Each one had a name. So the last time we were up there, he reached over, touched something, and the little Model A started up. Didn't sound like a Model A. He has done miracles with what he's done.
What do you remember about transportation when you were young?
You didn't go much. because we had an old car. Grandpa had an old car, but lots of times we went with the horses, the team.
How long would that usually take?
It took a while to go to Hazelton because we were 5 miles east, so it took half hour or an hour probably even.
And how often would you go to town?
Not very often, no. Flour was bought by a few hundred pounds, and the sugar was bought in bags, 100 pounds.
And how
But
long would those last?
we were not short of food. We had enough.
Is it because you raised most of it?
Yeah, except the sugar and flour. Yeah.
What about gardening?
We had
What was
a
the garden like?
Yes, we had a big garden, and the tank, it was close to the tank, so the tank would run, fill up the tank, windmill would run and fill it up, and we'd water it with that. We always had a big garden. I think we lived on that kind of stuff. But I like vegetables.
And during this time when you had big gardens and you never lacked for food?
I had a lot of canning. Anything that we couldn't eat was put up. Nothing went to waste.
Can you describe the canning process?
Pardon?
Can you describe the canning process?
Oh yeah, everything had to be cleaned and put in jars and put in usually 3 hours. We didn't have pressure cookers. Yeah, it was a big job. And then folks would butcher pigs and sometimes a cow if we had enough. And the meat was put into, it was a big barrel-like and salt in it. And when it got to be too much, it was winter. They were very careful. But other than that, it was salted in a barrel. And they got it out and ate it.
What did that taste like?
I don't know. Now I don't think it'd be good. Spoiled.
And how long would the butchering process take?
All day. All
And
day.
would other families participate?
Yeah.
So,
They came and helped us, and Grandpa went and helped them.
um,
Everybody around Butcher took their day, and they helped each other.
and can you describe the butchering process?
Well, I wasn't out when the animal was killed, but the animal would be killed, and they'd clean it. They'd have something, build a fire and heat the water and scald it there. Yeah. I wasn't in on it. I just was in the house at that time. I didn't help at all.
And besides helping cook in the house, did you help your mother with housework?
Yes, yeah.
What kind of things would you do?
They did, meat would be cut up in small pieces and put in quart jars and put seasoning, salt and pepper in, and then in the oven they also, the cook stove would be burning and the oven was hot. They'd put lots of, but they usually was with water on top of the stove.
Did you help with housework?
Pardon?
Did you help with house chores besides cooking?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
What kind of things would you do?
Oh, clean the kitchen, clean the house, make the beds, and that all had to be done every day. You had beds, the rooms were all cleaned up, and then you go to bed and the same thing was over again.
How did your family do laundry?
Carried the water and put it on the stove and boiled it, and we had a wash machine that you pulled back and forth, and it made the clothes clean, hung them up. That was a daily chore.
Were there any chores that you liked doing?
No. I just did them. Came home from school and the water had to be carried and the animals had to be fed. That was just a daily thing.
Were there differences between winter chores and summer chores? Can you describe those?
When my brothers were home, they helped with the chores. And then I get to help Mother. But when they weren't there, then I had to help outside.
What about the bathroom? What did you do for that?
Bath would be heat the water on the stove in a big wash tub and take a bath. that was just a weekly thing. And, you know, you wore long johns, underwear, but you still wore dresses. Of course, the beginning of the week, they were nice and tight. They fit your leg. By the end of the week, those underwear had to be rolled. You didn't want that bump showing. But everybody was the same. I don't think we were different than anybody. You just took it. That's how it is.
Did they change the water between?
No, sometimes it wasn't. The cleanest one got to go first.
The dirtiest one got to go last?
Mother and I.
How often were you supposed to brush your teeth?
Brush.
Yeah.
I never had a toothbrush. I never knew there was such a thing till I was older.
Did the boys, well, besides the one brother, did any of your other brothers help in the kitchen?
Yeah, not like Joe and I always helped. Joe was the one that helped Mother. But then Adam and Frank was his half-brother, and Benny. They helped outside. But, you know, when the boys got old enough, they had, one of them went to the CCs, and one of them went to the war. They found other jobs.
What do you remember about the CC?
What?
About the CCC growing up?
Oh, I mean, you just do it. That's all. I mean, I don't know. I must have been an agreeable kid. Like I say, I never got a licking. But the boys that get yelled at.
And you mentioned something about one of your brothers went to war. Was that World War II?
Yeah.
And can you explain that?
I would write. Each week I would write. They'd write, and they appreciated that.
And where were they, you know?
Both of them, they were not close, but they both were stationed in the Aleutian Islands.
How long were they there?
It seemed to me like a long time, but I don't know. I don't know.
Did they
And
ever
then
talk about
after Frank came home, he went to Larimore. He got a job, so he got married to a girl at Larimore. And then Adam married a local girl. And Joe, he was the one that got to go to college and high school. Each family had at least one of them that got to go to school, and that was Joe. And Benny, well, he was 5 years older than me, so yeah, I really didn't know my brothers because they were much older. You know, lots of times now you have babies every year or every 2 years. Benny was 5 years older, and Helen was 7 years younger.
So you were kind of in between.
When you were there, it was your job to work and not complain. You didn't.
You didn't complain.
You didn't. You just did it.
It was the way of life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it was.
You know, what kind of clothes were common when you were growing up?
Folks, there was some program going on that was called the Relief. Everybody got, the parents would go, and if you could sew and do something, you got material, and most of the time that material was checkered, and I didn't want to wear anything was checkered because that was relief stuff. You were looked down on if you, and yet everybody was poor.
What about clothing after that time? What was that?
It just was. I mean, like I say, I hated checker stuff. You wanted to wear that at home. Don't wear it to go away. You didn't want to be looked down on, but really, I think we were all the same. I think we were poor. So it was.
So nobody was really that much different than
Yep. I
anyone
know
else.
one time the government said they'd buy cattle, and we sold one of our nice cows, and we got a whole $1 for her. They drove them to town.
What did you do with the $1?
I never saw it. I'm sure it bought things to eat.
Did your family often sell livestock and?
Not too often. It seemed like we butchered. You kept food on the table and took care of the animals that way. And then same way with hayland. If you didn't have enough hay, there was always something blocked off that the farmers, you could have it this week and another one happened another week. You took your cows down and you kept them on that spot to graze that grain down, and then they came home.
Who would go out and gather up the cows?
Whoever was of that age, yes, I did. I went with my brother sometime.
And how long would that take?
Well, a week, you'd go a week, yeah. I remember there were kind of mud puddles that make mud pies, and I'd get little boxes and I'd play, watch the cows, put these little mud pies in.
What kind of mud pies would you make?
I don't know what they were, but I cut them out and saved them. It was hard dirt.
With the cows, did you usually take them to the same place?
Well, it was area that was put off. They called it the school section. The government laid it out.
Now, was your mother pretty adept at sewing? Did she make any of your clothes?
Oh, yeah. I had help, too. We had a lot of homemade clothes.
Did you have a favorite growing up?
No.
What about toys? Did you have any kind of toys or?
I don't think we had toys. Helen did. Folks got a tricycle for Helen, and it was nice. She was 7 years younger, so.
So she was the baby.
Mm-hmm.
What about new shoes? How often did your family get new shoes?
When your shoes were wore out, you got a pair. You didn't have extra pairs.
What about hand-me-down clothes?
No, I didn't have hand-me-down clothes because I didn't have any sisters. No.
What about Helen? Did your sister?
Yeah, she would have some of my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But times changed. By the time Helen was born, the folks had a little bit more money.
Mm-hmm.
It was different.
And when did your family first get electricity?
Harry and I got married. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have water either. That all came.
Do you remember when?
I can't remember. I'm getting forgetful.
And how did this change your life?
Oh boy, it was pretty wonderful. I remember when we first got our electricity, oh my, and my first washing machine. Wow.
Can you explain?
It was such fun. You wash clothes and run them through the wringer. It was, oh boy, it was wonderful. But now you take those things at a daily thing. Mm-hmm. Have a few clothes to wash, put it in the washer, get it. It's different.
And how did you wash clothes growing up? How much time did that?
We had a washboard and rubbed them out and hung them up. Mm-hmm. I don't even think we had the kind of soap and things we got now. It all has changed.
Did you make soap?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did you make soap?
Well, something that was left over from the butchery. You put it in and bought a lot of lye and put it in, and sometimes you'd be real proud. You'd have a nice batch, be nice and white, but sometimes it was cruddy.
And what did you do with the bad soap?
You just did. What the heck? You didn't throw nothing away. Oh.
And what made it bad?
Pardon?
What made it bad?
Well, if you didn't stir it enough, for the stirring you made it. You put the dye and stuff in, and you stirred it all in, and that, so much lye you couldn't touch it with your hands. Lye was dangerous, but that's what ate the meat up and turned it into soap.
Okay, that's interesting. When did your family get a telephone?
Harry and I can't remember, but we were here without. And then we had to make an FHA loan because we didn't have any money. And we had a little house just right out here, kind of a boxcar. But the FHA came and looked, and that was not fit for for a house. So they did allow us like $5,000 to build our house. We built our house.
Is this the same house that we're in right now?
Yeah, and neighbors came and helped if they saw. It's a completely different world. And I guess I'd have liked it if I'd have made it bigger, but I'm old now, so it's hard to keep clean, so it's okay.
So it's a good size now.
It's fine, yes.
We haven't touched much on holidays, and I would like to touch a little bit on holidays.
I don't think holidays were not like now. The day came and went.
What was your favorite? Did you have a favorite?
I didn't have a favorite, no.
How were celebrations done for Christmas in your family?
Christmas was never a celebration. Mother cooked more food, but I don't think we got toys. I never got anything. I mean, it was just, you were glad to be alive and you were a good girl.
Was church different?
Well, we went to church, but it wasn't different. I mean, they had Christmas service, and I don't think we even got candy or peanuts from anybody.
Did that change after you got married?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you celebrate?
Oh, yeah.
How so?
I made, Christmas is special because you put your crib up, baby Jesus is coming, and you plan for that, go to church, and you have lots of good meals, lots of good stuff. I mean, it's different.
And did your family celebrate Easter?
Oh, yes.
How did they celebrate Easter?
We dyed eggs. Good Friday, we went to church on Good Friday, and we dyed eggs and got ready for Easter. The Easter bunny came. I don't know what he brought, probably candy.
Did you have an Easter basket?
No, not before I was married, heavens no.
And after you were married?
The kids, when we had babies, yes, it's done for your family, then you make it special.
What about the 4th of July? How did your family celebrate the 4th?
I don't think we did. I mean, it must have been haying time or something going on. I don't know.
It was a busy time.
Yeah.
How about birthdays? Did your family celebrate birthdays?
Yeah.
How did they celebrate?
We had a special, we had a birthday cake made.
What kind of birthday cake?
And whatever they wanted. If they wanted a white one or a chocolate one, birthday cake was made.
So it was the choice
Decorated it, and the kids' choice, yeah.
Did your mother ever make cakes when you were growing up?
Yes, they had what I guess must have been from the Relief Johnny cake or something. It had something in it, and everybody liked it, but I didn't think it was so good. It really wasn't good because it didn't have much sugar.
Oh.
Didn't have much sugar.
Okay. What about celebrating names days?
They did, yes.
They did? How did they celebrate
Mother did a lot of cooking, and a lot of people would come, and sometimes they'd stay overnight. You were just out of the way and you listened. They'd dance in the living room. They had a good time.